When you make a professional mistake or experience conflict with someone, how do you bounce back from that? Stephanie?
So as a salesperson, I'll tell you, I've made plenty of mistakes in selling, and mistakes from being outsold to I didn't follow the process or I didn't follow through on something, and I've even lost deals because of it. And as a leader, I've made mistakes around maybe I didn't judge a company's internal politics properly, or I missed a coaching or teachable moment. So we've all made the mistakes, and what I've learned is the lesson is kind of in the mistake and how you come back from it. So there's a couple of things that like I would coach people towards that I do when it comes to making a professional mistake. And wisdom, you kind of hit some of these points already, but I'll kind of go through it. Number one is I have learned you have to 100% let your emotions cool down. If you think about it, adrenaline is the absolute worst drug when it comes to getting over a mistake. And, you kind of think there's a reason why football players watch game day tape on Monday, not Sunday after the game. Like, you really need to let the emotions go so that you can be clear-headed. Once you're clear-headed, then that's when you really can do a good post-mortem of what happened, and kind of you've got to recognize your part in the situation that you're in versus just kind of looking at other people's parts. You really got to take responsibility for how did you get there? How did you personally get there? And then you put a plan in place on what are you going to do differently to ensure that you're not back in that place again. Making a mistake isn't the problem. Making the same mistake multiple times, that becomes a problem. So you really want to put a plan in place on what you're going to do differently. The other thing that I found to be just really important is once you've made a mistake and the emotions are gone, you've kind of thought about it, you really need to own up to whatever that mistake was almost immediately. That is whether it is a mistake with another team member, above you with your boss that's impacted him or her in any way, or with your direct reports. When you own up to it immediately, it's amazing how much respect you get from other people from doing that. And then because you've already kind of done a postmortem, you can also talk about what you're going to do differently, and people respect you for that. And then finally, I would say it's like really important to kind of, forgive yourself and forgive others. Mistakes are going to be made. And, one of the things that I learned when the first time I was promoted from being an individual contributor to a leader, my issue really was I was a bit of a perfectionist, and I was really afraid of making a professional mistake. You almost get in your head where you have almost analysis paralysis. So one of my mentors at the time, he said to me, Steph, stop trying to be perfect and, beating yourself up for making a mistake and being afraid to take a risk because you don't want to make a mistake. He said, at this point, your goal is to be right 80% of the time. And the other 20%, when you're not right, that's when you pivot and you correct. And his point to me was that 20%, that's where the growth and the learning comes from. So don't be afraid to do that. It's really how you address it. So those are kind of the strategies and the mindset that I have when it comes to bouncing back from professional mistakes.